ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत नः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्रयवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering my most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Master and Guru, Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Respected elders, my dear brothers and sisters, a loving Sai Ram to all of you. Those of us who are aware, Dharmakshetra is abuzz with activity. And rightly so, as we are just a week away from the auspicious Ashadhi Ekadashi celebration in Prashanti Nilayam, which will also be followed by the holy festival of Guru Purnima. In this auspicious week and month, we have gathered to celebrate the 158th edition of Samarpan, an offering of love and surrender to our beloved Master. I find myself privileged as I introduce Sai Ram Sir for this evening as this evening's speaker. Those of us who have been blessed to pass through the hallowed portals of the Sri Satya Sai Higher Secondary School know him only too well, not just as a teacher, but also a friend, rather an elder brother to most of the students. Someone who shaped Swami's voice, Swami's property in the classroom, the corridors of the hostel, and even in the playground. When I joined the Sri Satya Sai Higher Secondary School as 11th standard boy, wide-eyed 11th standard boy, I only noticed this very young teacher who was always followed around with, a bunch of little 8th standard students, always hanging on to every single word of his at all hours of the day. It was only later on that I was introduced to Sai Ram Sir as a teacher of physics. I was told that there would be moments in the classroom where Sir would be teaching, and then there would be a signal for the boys where he would drop the chalk, take a seat on the table, and start talking about Swami. And the entire class would be hooked. Every single note remembered, etched in memory, and every distraction dissolved. What many may not know, that Sai Ram Sir is also quite an innovator. He built a solar-powered car during the early years of his teaching, which was also debuted in the annual sports and cultural meet in the Sri Satya Sai Hillview Stadium. He applied solar energy to cooking and sparked young minds with a love for astronomy and the physical sciences. For all these services, he received a letter of appreciation from the Government of India's Ministry of Human Resource Development, an honor that found him as honors that always find people who never seek them. But more than above this, Sai Ram Sir embodies Swami's creation and someone in Swami's service. From having devout Sai devotees as parents, to letting go of admission in BITS Pilani in favor of a BSc program in 1989 in Vrindavan. 1989 in Vrindavan, to fulfilling his duties as one of the Chai boys, to getting handpicked by Swami as a teacher in 1994. This was the avatar choosing one of his instruments. Dear Sir, what you have witnessed, experienced, and been transformed by you is Swami's gift, and we look forward to you to sharing this gift with all of us. Sai Ram.
Om Sri Sai Ram. I offer my humble pranams at Bhagavan's lotus feet, invoking his blessings. I would like to put forward the lessons that I have learnt, the beautiful experiences, and the instances which had transformed me to a different person from what I was. My mother told me that when I was very small, she had carried me in her arms, and they visited Vrindavan, and there is a Saraswati statue there in front of the hostel. And my mother said, I prayed in front of this Saraswati statue that when you become big boy, you should study in this hostel and in this college. And later, that happened in the year 1989, when I entered into the Vrindavan campus as a student of BSc. And many times Swami had told us, you are here not because of your efforts. You are here because of your parents' prayers. This he confirmed many times. Once I saw in Vrindavan campus many students running towards the college auditorium, and I was not aware what was happening. Along with them, I also ran, and then I went into the foyer where these boys were seated. Suddenly, I noticed that all third-year boys were there, and I was the only one odd out there, because Swami had called only the third-year boys. I was not aware of that. I was first-year student. And by the time the confusion became worse, so I was about to leave. But Swami entered into the foyer. So they told me, don't make any fuss, just quietly sit. So I sat along with them near one window. And Swami came straight near the window, and he started asking, where do you come from? Where do you come from? He kept picking up boys. I was trying to hide myself so that I won't be noticed. Then Swami said, hey, you, where do you come from? He asked. I said, Swami, from Mettur Dam. You are not third-year student? Then I didn't know what to say. I was blinking. And he said, you are first-year student. How you came? He asked. I said, Swami, I didn't know. Then Swami said, Naku anni telusu. So I was thinking, with 40-45 boys, you will not identify me to be a first-year student. But Swami was pointing to me and saying, you are a first-year student. And Naku telusura anni telusu, he told. And days passed by. In my second year, the warden called me and told me, you will have to take care of chai. So for those of you who don't know who chai is, I'll just give a small introduction. He's a Chinese devotee. They settled in Singapore. His father is a very big businessman, and Chai is one of his sons. He was doing his medicine in Singapore, and suddenly one day a group of people kidnapped him and asked his father for some ransom. His father was a tough person. He didn't give anything. He thought he can deal it with the whatever powers he had. But by then, his other son was also kidnapped. Even then his father felt that somehow he can get them back without yielding to the threat. But unfortunately, the other son was murdered in front of Chai, and Chai was given shock. And then they released in a parcel the body of his brother and threw him out of the car in front of the house. And due to this shock, this Swami himself narrated to us when we were sitting in front of him. And then Swami said that shock, he couldn't take it. That's how he became mad. So he was admitted into Kilpak Mental Hospital for a long time. But his father was not happy. He felt that it would be better if he is under the care of Swami. Then Swami promised him, don't worry, bring him to Vrindavan. I will take care of him till his end. That's how he came to Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, every year few boys were asked to take care of him. So this is the background about Chai. He was given a room in Vrindavan. So what the Chai boys would do is, they would go and give him his breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then generally his room is locked. And at times during Paurnami or Amavasya, we could clearly see that his behavior is a little different. He'll be more violent. So we have to be careful on those days. When I was told to take care of him, I did not want to do that job for two reasons. Reason number one, I was interested in taking care of hostel maintenance. The second reason was, I heard from my seniors that he had TB. So I was scared anybody going near him also may get TB. So I was scared. So I went and told the teacher in charge, I don't want to do this. He said, nothing doing. This is given to you, you have to do it. So there was no choice, but I had to do. But I had my own fears about him, because we have heard that he had learned karate, kung fu, all these things. And when I went for the first time to his house, I didn't find any glass panes on the windows. When I asked the senior students why it's all left open, they said, how many other times we put, he hits it once with his hand and breaks it. You can imagine, I was thinking, my God, what will happen to me if I am caught with him alone? So this kind of fears were there. But meanwhile, Guru Purnima function had come. We came to Puttaparthi. And one morning bhajan was going on. And I was sitting and just thinking about it. Because when I asked the other boys, how is it that you both are confident though he is having TB? They said, Swami called us once and then hit us on the head and then blessed us saying, nothing will happen to you. Now this was disturbing me. For those two, blessings are there. What about me? If I get TB, it's a problem. So this thought was going on during the bhajan, and suddenly there was some movement towards the back door. I was sitting like this hall it is. Outside the hall I was sitting, and Swami came out of the back door. And so we give a passage for Swami to walk. Swami came and stood in front of me. His hand was folded behind, and he, like this, he kept looking at me. And I was looking at Swami. And then he hit me like this 3 times on the head. Nothing will happen, he said. So I was so happy that now guarantee is given. So I need not worry about getting TB or anything. So I became full-fledged, I was going ahead with serving chai. And after a few months, suddenly one day he got paralyzed. So we were taking food for him. He was not able to eat. So we had to feed him. And he was not able to get up and go to the bathroom. So he used to pass urine, stool, everything on the bed. So it was becoming very difficult for us to take care. We used to go to his room in the evening around 6:30. By the time we clean up the room, give him bath, change the clothes, change his bed cover, it was becoming almost 9:30. This was not for 1 or 2 days. This was going on for a long period of time. So the message was sent to Swami that Chai is not able to move. Swami sent word, I will come to Brindavan soon, then I will tell you what to do. So we were waiting for Swami to come. So this was going on every day. Evening was the time we used to go, and so no studies at all for us. But I was very happy doing the work because studying is little difficult. So I used to pray to Swami saying, I will do your work nicely. You take care of my studies. That is difficult for me. So that was the prayer that I had. So what happened? One afternoon, I went to give him lunch, and I noticed that already his bed was very dirty, and I felt till we come back in the evening and then clean up things, it may be very difficult for him to stay like that. So it's difficult to do it alone also. But my senior students had some important exam. So I thought, why to disturb them? I will clean up things now itself. So I helped, lifted him, took him to the bathroom and gave him bath. And I was wiping his head and I noticed he was crying. I got scared because he had a wound on his head, which was having a lot of pus. So I asked him what happened. We used to call him doctor because he was doing his medicine. And when we bring to hostel, some boys are sick, he would prescribe medicines. So everybody calls him doctor. I'll show you pictures of him towards the end. Okay. So I was worried maybe I disturbed his wound or something. So I asked him, what happened, doctor? Is it paining? He said, no. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. He was crying. So I suddenly got a doubt. Is he mentally retarded or he is a normal person only? Because he is able to relate to what I am doing and how he is suffering. That was that incident, only that much. So I was thinking maybe love is a language which anybody can understand. See, even animals and birds, when we show love, they respond to it. And next day we heard the news that Swami is coming to Vrindavan. And as soon as Swami got down from car and went inside, the caretaker of Vrindavan was telling us, the first thing he inquired was how Chai was. And then Swami said, it seems now it's very difficult for the children to take care of him. You should admit him in the Nimmans hospital. So all arrangements were made. He was admitted in the Nimmans hospital for treatment. So for the next few days, we were not having any work to do here. And every day Swami would come and say, today some medicines are administered, some injection was given. All this discussion was there. And then Swami said, in another 2-3 days, they are going to operate. And the day when operation was over, then Swami came and said, operation successful, chai is safe. They collected so much of pus, it seems, from his head. And now they have stitched back the skull. And then he is in the ICU. After a few days, Swami said, we three were sitting there. And then Swami said, today, go and see your mama and come. And then have your lunch in Bangalore itself and come. We were very excited because Puttaparthi in Vrindavan, looking at a car going on the road itself was a successful thing. Everything is within the campus, going to the college, coming back. We used to challenge each other saying, how many cars did you see passing through the gate? So that used to be a game for us. And here Swami said, go see him and come, and then have your lunch there. So we went to see him, and then before going, Swami said, take something for him. So we bought cake and went, and then chai was like a child suddenly seeing its parents, how joyful it feels. Like that he was, oh, come. Where were you all these days? I missed you all. And then he saw we were having something in hand. He said, what is it? Then we said, cake we brought. We had got some 10-15 small pieces of cake. Then he said, we'll give everybody, he said. And then we went around. We were only distributing to the other patients who were there in the room. And then he said, give him 2. So we asked, what's special about him? He's my neighbor, he said. So we gave him 2, but his hand was bandage was put in his hand. And then he was not able to use his hand. That's why we were distributing. But we were wondering what was wrong with his hand that they had put bandage. So when the doctor came, we asked, sir, what happened to his hand? Why you have put the bandage? Then the doctor said, you won't believe what happened 2 days back. Night sometime, he just opened his skull like a tiffin box. And then there was such an emergency it was. We had to rush him to the ICU again and then get the stitches done. So after that, we have put this so that even if he does something like this, it won't be a problem. So that was the situation. And finally, he came back one day to the ashram again, and he was perfectly all right. There was no problem. Only thing, there were some medicines that had to be given to him, and giving him medicine was not an easy job. We had to pamper him so much. We had to tell him stories. Then he may swallow one medicine. So we were trying to find out some ways to give the medicines. It was becoming very difficult. But what I noticed was that his inner garments were changing color. I don't know, maybe due to the medicine or what it is. They were appearing very dirty. So I was hesitant to put them to the dhobi for washing. And I was washing it myself. This, I was doing it without the knowledge of my senior students, because they may not want me to do that. But still I was feeling to give it for washing to everyone, it may not be a right idea. So, and one day Swami called us, and then Swami asked, how is chai? Then we said, Swami is fine. You three are becoming fatter and fatter. Chai is becoming thinner and thinner. Are you giving him food, or in his name you are all eating it off? He was making fun like this. And then suddenly he came very close to my ears. His inner garments are very dirty. You don't wash. Throw them off. I told Ruchir, to give you new ones. I was shocked because I have not told my seniors only that I was doing this. And Swami was also telling me in such a way that the other two were not listening. He came very close to me as if telling some secret. And then he told me that. And our interview session got over. I came outside. And our Ruchir sir was standing there. He was in charge of the stores. He was staring at me. If you want inner garments for chai, you should ask me, not Swami, he told me. I said, sir, I didn't ask. In fact, I was surprised why Swami was telling me this. Oh, you didn't tell, is it? And who told? The other two fellows must have told, he said. I said, I don't know, sir. Maybe they told, I told like that. And then he gave me the key of that stores. Take how many ever you want, he said. And then I went and took some new set of things. No, why I am narrating this is, see what I intimate thing it was, and Swami knows everything. Because many times we think, will he know, will he watch, does he know? It's not that he is wanting to watch every time. He is not doing that. I will narrate an incident later on for this also, because I had a doubt on this also. And how it got cleared, I will narrate to you. So this was the incident which made me 100% confident that he knows everything. Only thing, he behaves as if he doesn't know anything. Once he asked us, when we were in a group, he asked, what is the basic difference between God and man? Then each one was trying to tell different answers. Swami said, man doesn't know anything and he behaves as if he knows everything. God knows everything, but he behaves as if he doesn't know anything. That is the difference between man and God. That's what he said. See, little bit, our ego grows double that. But God knows everything, but ego is zero. There is a difference between man and God. Finally, that year got over. Third year, I had come to third year. So 2 more new boys were taken. And one was Saroj Pradhan and another was Vinay Totla. And one day Swami called 3 of us along with Chai for an interview. And Chai was sitting on the sofa. Swami was sitting this side. And we 3 were sitting below. And then Chai was just laughing to himself. Oh, ha, ha, like that he was laughing. Swami was looking at him. See, he's so happy. Only normal human beings are not happy, he said. And Swami got very fascinated by his smile. And then Swami got up and asked, hey Chai, what do you want? He looked at Swami. Up to you, he told like that. And then chain or ring? He asked like this. Up to you, he told like that. Then Swami created a chain and he put it around in his neck. As he was putting, Chai hit Swami like this. Are you good boy or bad boy? He asked him. And then we were shocked. My goodness, Swami is standing there. He is hitting Swami, good boy or bad boy? He asked that. Then Swami was telling, I am good boy only. So casually Swami was taking it. And then we took him to his house. Next morning, I was shocked to see the chain was not there around his neck. I really got scared. Somewhere, either he broke it and threw it or what it is, we don't know. So we searched the house left and right. Finally, in the bathroom in one corner, we found it. So I took it, washed it, and then next day I took it to Swami and said, Swami, he broke it and he threw it off. Then Swami said, what I can do, he said. Then I told Swami, you give me something which I can put it under his pillow and he himself will not know. Then it will be nice. Then Swami smiled and said, Dunnapota, Raksha ante body ki touch chesi undal hai, he told. Any Raksha that I give should touch the body. What is the use of putting it under pillow? Then we didn't know what to do. Then Swami again swung his hand and created a ring. He told me, go and put this for him. So I went and put the ring. When I put the ring for him, it was very loose. If he does it like this, it will fall. I was not sure of leaving it in his hand because surely he will not wear it. So I put it back in my pocket. Evening darshan, next morning darshan, evening darshan, I went and told Swami, Swami, this is loose. Loose. Knee loose, that fellow is loose like that. Swami was making fun. And then Swami said, bring him tomorrow, I will put it, he said. Then I felt very happy. But it was my duty to protect the ring till next evening. Because our 3 sessions will be in the evening. Generally morning we have darshan and go off for college. So night, the ring I had kept it in my pocket and I had put pins all around my pocket so that it doesn't fall somewhere. Or when I'm sleeping, somebody can take it out. I was very scared. Around 10:30, one boy came to my room. He was a first year student. Brother, Swami gave you one ring, no? Just show me, I want to see. And I was getting all sorts of doubts. I said, why you want to see? That's not for you. No, I just want to see what Swami has created. I just want to feel it. Then I opened all the 3-4 pins and then took it out and then showed it to him. Immediately he put it in his finger. I said, hey, it's not for you. You don't wear it. If only it was not fitting him also. So it was fitting for him in this finger, but in his ring finger it was not fitting. So, if it had fitted my ring finger, it would have been nice. I said, that you ask Swami separately, but this is choice. So, you give it back to me. So he gave it back. I put all the pins again. I think whole night I was sleeping like this only. And next evening we went for evening darshan. And Swami called everybody inside. Finally only me and Chai were left outside. Then I asked Swami, I'll bring him inside. Why you want to bring patients inside? He asked like that. Swami, that ring is not fitting him. I told him. Take him inside, he said. So he was also brought inside. We were sitting towards the back. And then Swami told, give. Amy, he asked. Swami, chana loose ga. It's very loose. Give, he said. He just blew it like this, gave it back to me and said, put it now. You won't believe. It was not going below this. The previous day it was falling off. Now it stopped here. I didn't want to leave it. I just somehow wanted to send it into his finger and it pained him so much. He caught my cheek because of the pain. He was pulling my cheek. I was not leaving his hand. I was trying to put it. What is going on here? Swami was surprised. Give the ring, it will. So I again took it out because it can never fit his finger. So I gave it out, gave it to Swami. And Swami went and sat with the ring in the jula. And then Swami looked around like this and called one boy. That boy, I will show in the photo, he is there. That boy was the one who asked for the ring previous night. And Swami called him and put it in his ring finger. Exactly it fitted his ring finger. See, it is fitting only your finger. You keep it with you, like that Swami told, and that boy got the ring. And regarding ring, I have one more amazing experiment. My classmate, one boy was there. Swami had given him a ring when he was in his 8th or 9th class. Now he was in his second UG, and that ring had become very tight for him. So the finger had overgrown almost, and there's no question of it coming out. So it was biting and started paining. So he told Swami, Swami, this ring is paining for me. Oh, I gave you long back, Swami told. Yes, Swami, when I was in 9th class, you gave me. Oh, you remove this and bring, I will give you new one. So he came back, and then he came and asked me, hey, Sairam, I have to remove this, yeah, what to do? I said, study hours will do. Because study hours we can spend time trying to remove this, we will take permission. So he had dinner and the things. 8 o'clock we went to the wash basin side with soap, oil, everything we took. 1.5 hours, nothing, it was not bulging from where it was. And I said, see, only choice is, you'll cut it. He said, no, you cannot cut it because I don't know what Swami will think if I cut it. So if I have to cut it, I have to ask Swami. Then I said, forget, then you cannot take. No, but I have to take it. Then I said, okay, we need not ask Swami to cut your finger, maybe we will cut the finger when it will come. Yes, what you are joking like this. Then I said, we cannot do anything. You go and tell Swami that it's not coming. So it all ended there. Next day, darshan, we went. And then, did you remove? Swami asked him. He said, no. Go inside, he said. So he went to the interview room. And I was very eagerly waiting outside to find out how Swami removed the ring. So 1 hour interview was going on, the different group of people were there. I was waiting for him to come out. And as he came out, there's a bridge-like connection there where devotees come out. As he was coming out, I was seeing from far, he is wearing a different ring. So I was really surprised. Wow, Swami must be having cutting tools inside, so he must have cut it. Or he should have asked somebody to cut. And when we went to the hostel, I asked him, how Swami removed it? He said, what, how he removed it? He just caught my finger and said, it told it won't come. Did it tell it won't come? Did it say it won't come? And he was having it in his hand. He said, I didn't know that he removed the ring. I really can't understand this. No science can explain this. Because 1.5 hours, all experiments we have done to remove that. And it is biting into his skin. It is not that easy to remove. And he said, I didn't know that. I thought he is rubbing my finger. But when he pulled the finger, ring was not there in my hand. And then Swami blew it. It changed into a different ring. And he put it back. It was the right size ring. So, no science can explain this. So later on, towards the end of third year, I was sitting with the third year boys. We were asking Swami for some interview. And the other 3 boys, now it became 3 boys. Who was the third boy? Warden said, he took Chai's ring, no, let him also be in this group. So that boy became another in that group. And then Swami said, you all did very good service. I'll take you to Kodaikanal. And I was sitting totally on the other end. I saw Swami was talking to them, but I was totally on the other side. And the warden ran in front and told Swami something. Swami just brushed it aside. And after darshan was over, warden called me and said, "Where were you when those three boys were together?" I said, "Sir, we are third year students, no? So I was with them." "See, you lost your golden opportunity." Swami said, "They'll take them to Kodaikanal." But I tried to tell Swami, one more student is there, he is senior most. Swami said, "The pakoda, let him be there." But Swami didn't give permission for you. So it's left to you. You ask Swami. I said, "Sir, I cannot get up and ask Swami, take me to Kodaikanal in front of all. If Swami comes alone, I'll ask." He smiled and said, "For your sake, Swami will come alone and you will ask." I said, "Sir, I cannot ask but in front of all. I am scared." So just 2 days had passed. Around 3 o'clock, I was taking some drink for chai, and I was going in front of Trai Vrindavan along with one more boy, Saroj Pradhan. And suddenly the Vrindavan doors opened and Swami came out. And he called us. I was surprised how, because Swami usually comes out around 4:30. 3 o'clock it was, except that Sevadal at the gate, nobody is there inside the campus. We both were there. And Swami called. Then suddenly I remembered, if he comes alone, I'll ask. So I ran, knelt down in front of Swami, and then Swami, take me to Kodaikanal. Yakyandre, like that, he explained something in Kannada. I listened to the entire story and then said, "Swami, I don't know Kannada." Then he looked at me like this. Then he spoke to me in Hindi. I again told him, "Swami, I don't know Hindi." He said, "Dunna pota." He told me, "Take namaskar." He told like this. Went back and then closed the door. I felt so bad. See, I had the opportunity. I asked Swami. Finally, I didn't understand what he told me. So I was furious with myself. And we started walking towards Chai's room. And this boy was telling me, "You are so lucky, brother," he told. I said, "What lucky?" I didn't understand what he told. "Oh, you don't know Hindi?" I understood what Swami told, he said. Because he was from Darjeeling side. He knew Hindi. Then he said, "During the holidays, it is very difficult to take care of Chai. So you should stay back and then take care of him." I will be completing my 3rd year that time. I said, "How do you say it's a happy news?" Because I am finishing my 3rd year. I am not allowed to go home. And Swami is not going to take me to Kodaikanal. How it's a good news for me, I told. Then he said, "I don't know, but Swami has asked you to stay, no? That's a great thing, no?" He told. But in my mind that was not there because my sister's marriage was arranged during that time. And next day, all were seated in line. Swami was giving prasadam to all the boys because exams were getting over and students will start leaving. And when he came near me, "When are you going?" he asked. Then I was wondering, see, he told me to stay. That's what this boy told. But now he is asking me when I am going. So I knelt down a little and then told Swami, "Swami, either you take me to Kodaikanal or I'll stay back here," I said. Then Swami smiled and said, "Stay back." So that's how I stayed back. And I was taking care of Chai during the holidays time. After that, my sister's marriage was postponed for some other time. And in the beginning of the year, I was given 10 days leave to attend the marriage and come back for MSc. And because of my absence, 50% of the class was missing. In the sense, we were only 2 of us in MSc. So no class was there for the other boy. He was saying 10 days I enjoyed, whether you enjoyed or not, I enjoyed, because professor told us when he comes only we can start. We cannot start class for one boy. Already only 2 are there. So you wait for him to come. So that's how I joined my MSc. And 1 year, one parents meet in MSc, my father came to see me and he brought fried groundnuts for eating. Then I looked at my father and told, see, that's why mother should have come. My mother knows I like boiled groundnuts. I don't like fried groundnuts. Then my father said, see, I didn't know that you like boiled groundnuts. But still, outside what water they use, I don't know. Even if it was there, I would have brought only this. That's all. It was such a simple conversation. It got over there. Evening darshan we went. I was sitting in the veranda. Just next to me, the kitchen in charge was sitting. And Swami finished the interviews and he came in between. And he looked at the kitchen in charge. Venkatachalam sir was there. And then he asked, what tiffin you gave? Then he said, Swami, biscuits we gave. How many? One? He asked. No, Swami, 4 biscuits. This small? He asked. No, Swami, big ones. Next time what you do, you give boiled groundnuts. Boys like it so much, he said. When I heard this, I am the next one. I felt, wow, today I asked for it and it's happening there immediately. So I went back to the hostel and started telling everybody, now onwards every week my tiffin will be given. That is, boiled groundnuts will be given. I used to call it, it's mine. Because I asked my father and Swami said, so from that day it was going on. Every week, once or twice boiled groundnuts were given. Later when I became a teacher, I was made in charge of lion dance. So that evening, all the lion dance boys are sitting around Swami. And Swami asked Shiva Shankar Sai sir, what tiffin you gave? Shiva Shankar Sai sir, we were by then 2 different hostels. School boys different hostel, institute boys different hostel. So Shiva Shankar Sai sir said, Swami, we gave masal vada. Masal vada, good, very good. Only one you gave? He asked. No, Swami, we gave 2 vadas. When this conversation was going on with Swami and Shiva Shankar Sai sir, I asked our warden, sir, what he gave? Because I came off before the tiffin session started. I didn't know what was given in school boys hostel. So I asked him what he gave. He said, boiled groundnuts. I said, that's it, today is my day. Because I was the one who asked for. And today there is some connection is coming up. Let us see what is going to happen. And as I expected, Swami turned to our warden and asked, what did you give? He said, Swami, boiled groundnuts. Kanj, he told like that. Boiled groundnuts icham. Pillalki inka itlanti vada atla ivallu like that, he said. So that was the last day for boiled groundnuts. See, what happens is, when we develop our ego, maybe that's what happens finally. So I don't know. As long as that warden was there, boiled groundnuts were never given again. So I felt I became the cause for stopping it also. So I was feeling so guilty about it. So, and during this lion dance time, I had one more very peculiar experience. Swami used to bring every day one guest to see the practice session. And like suppose at home, the children do something extraordinary, how the mother feels happy telling, see, it's a very difficult thing, but he can do it. So like that he used to tell everyone, it's a very difficult thing, they can do like this. And after the practice session, it was a regular thing, all will sit around Swami, and the boys who are performing, they'll ask, Swami, what mistake was there, you tell us. And then Swami will say, see, while moving the head, you should not do it like some buffalo. It should be a lion, no? So it should be gentle. Like that he used to give comments on each boy who is asking. And one day he brought a guest about whom I had a very bad opinion. It's my personal feeling. So after the session was over, he was sitting next to Swami, and boys were sitting around. And Swami was talking to him, talking to the boys. This session was as usual going on. And as soon as when the session was going on, I was thinking, see, he is God. He knows plus and minus of everyone. How is he able to speak so nicely when he knows everything about everyone? So this doubt was there in my mind. Because if I develop an opinion about somebody, it's difficult for me to just brush aside that and talk nicely. But Swami was doing it very casually. So I assumed that Swami also must be having the bad impression. So because I was feeling like that. And the session was over. All boys were kneeling down. And Swami was going. And behind that person was walking behind Swami. And the boy kneeling down in front of me asked, Swami, Emina tappu unte cheppandi Swami, he asked. And when Swami turned, he was straight to me, looking at me. And he gave such a stare into my eyes. I got a doubt. Swami thought I asked. So I folded my hands and told, I didn't ask Swami, he asked. I told that. But Swami was staring at me, and then he said, Nenendukara tappulu vedikuthanu, he told. Means, why will I search for mistakes? That was the answer Swami gave. See, this was a regular session going on every day. But that day the answer, right looking into my eyes, was, why will I search for mistakes? Then it dawned to me, if God was looking at our mistakes, none of us can be around him. It's not possible. And he is searching and seeing any small good is there, so that I can keep him near me. So that was the lesson that I felt Swami was trying to teach. So many times Swami has told, see the good in others and find the fault in yourself. So that we have to follow and practice. That is what is very important, I think. And there are some incidences where during the sports meet, I had come in the glider one year. And as I was coming in the glider, about to land it was, my sister and my mother were watching from the ladies' side. And my sister was telling my mother, we didn't have a camera also. If only a camera was there, I would have taken a photo of him when he is coming down. And that was a discussion between my mother and my sister. And we landed there, and then I went to the stage. I was so tensed up, I forgot to even remove my helmet. I ran with the helmet to the stage. Yes, that's the photo. I ran with the helmet to the stage. And then Swami was taking a photo. And then Swami gave one camera. And some around 10-12 film rolls also he gave. And then he told something which I feel he said, not for you. Something like that it meant. I didn't clearly hear what he told because a lot of noise was there and all that, but he told something and gave. Whatever it is, he gave me a camera, I brought it. And then I met my parents. And my father asking, Swami gave you something? No, what was that? Then I said, he gave me a camera. Then my sister said, that's for me. It's not for you. Because I was the one who asked whether we should have a camera to take photo. So that camera belongs to me, not for you, like that my sister was telling me. But all of us were very happy. And later on, we had an opportunity as senior students to sit around Swami. And Swami asked, Emina doubt unte adagandi. He asked. Then I asked Swami, what we should do so that we can be all the time with you. Then Swami became little serious. He said, no use simply talking. He said, imagine there is a big house and things are taken care by different people. And the master is watching everyone. And if the master feels that I can trust this person, then when he is going, he will give the key to him and go. You develop that trust in Swami, then Swami will keep you with himself. That's the word Swami told. And it's Swami's blessings that even till today I have continued to be in Swami's service. I hope till the last breath he allows me to do that. And coming to the photos, I'll just quickly tell about first photo if you show. This is the photo when Swami came to Chai's house. The person sitting on the bed there, he is Mr. Chai. So Swami came to his house and then he was sitting in that corner. There is a very good incident connected to this. What happened, one day I was bringing him for darshan and Swami was going out to give darshan to the public. And in Vrindavan, in front of Trai, there is one road, and near the zoo kind of a place where cages are there and some small birds are there, that place also one road is there, interview side. I was getting him that side, and then Swami was going out for darshan. So what happened, I wanted to take him to Swami before he moves out of range. So I have to meet him here. If Swami goes like this, then it's difficult to. So I said, Chai, Swami has come, we'll go. Then he said, shoes. He was wearing shoes. I said, forget, no problem. Because my mind, I was thinking, he is anyway mentally sick. How does shoe matter? Shoe should not be mattering. Because if I take time to remove the shoe, by then Swami will go off. So I was very tense to that. I should somehow meet Swami before he goes out for darshan. So I literally dragged him almost. And then I went and stood in front of Swami. And Swami said, Chappal to technav. He told us. And I didn't know what to do. I was staring like this. Buddhi ledu. He told like that and he went off. Then some teachers called me and told, hey, why you brought him with shoes? See how many people are watching. They'll all think no respect for Swami, no? You should not have done this. I was thinking, if I had removed the shoe, there was really no chance of meeting Swami before going. Then after 2-3 days, Swami came to Chai's house. And then here Swami is looking at the tube light and then Swami is saying, the choke is burnt, you get this changed. All that. See, till the bathroom, Swami went and saw, okay, you all have kept it very clean. All that Swami said. And then the next photo, if you show, this is the photo. We asked Swami for a photo. Then Swami said, call Chai also. Call him also. By then, Chai was standing on this side. He was wearing the chappal, indoor chappal he was wearing. And I said, come, Swami is calling. He said, wait. He was very affirmative this time. He didn't want me to go with the chappals. So he said, wait. And then he left his chappals and then came for photo. Then Swami looked at me and said, see, he knows he should not come with the chappal. That day, he felt bad that I am standing in front of Swami with shoes. Andike tittanu. That's what Swami told after this photo session. This is the photo of 5 of us. Before going to Kodaikanal, we had this photo. And the boy standing this side, He is, maybe if it is clear, I don't know. He is wearing the ring which Swami gave him. He was the one who got that ring which was made for chai. Next photo. This is our glider practice time. See, sometimes we are more ritualistic than whether God will like it or not. For this, it's a very good example. Swami had come to see our practice, glider practice, to the airport. And that evening Swami came, and Swami's chair was put. Swami came and sat there. One person came and gave me an umbrella and went. And I didn't know what to do with that umbrella, because generally in temples I have seen behind the statue the umbrella is held. Now here Swami is physically sitting. If I have to give shade to Swami, I have to stand in front of him. You see the west side Swami is facing, and the umbrella shadow is going behind. So for people to see from outside, Swami is sitting here, this fellow is holding umbrella somewhere else. It will look like that. So I was fully confused. Somewhere in between position I took, and then held the umbrella behind Swami. I was in nice shade, but Swami was in sunlight. Then next photo, Swami turned back and asked me, "For whom you are holding the umbrella?" So really, see, practically what is necessary is what. See, maybe Swami would have been very happy if I had gone in front and made the shadow fall on Swami. That would have been the right thing to do. Though for everybody in the public it will look like I am doing something funny. But that was what was necessary. Instead I chose to be, I should not be wrong in everybody's eyes, so let me be right. But with God's eyes I was totally wrong. So we have to select what is important. To please God is important, or to please others is important. That is a very important lesson we have to learn. This is that helmet. With helmet I went. The next one, Swami is giving me that camera. And next photo. Here, see, many times we think being spiritual means you have to be serious about things. You cannot smile unnecessarily. With Swami, it was never like that. It was all fun. All the students who are sitting here will know it's a joy to be in Swami's company. That is the reason why you find people running towards him. Because there is a ring of joy around him. So, one of the sports meet, two of us, we were acting like bull. That means man's conquest over his beast nature. So I was the beast, and I had the head portion which he is holding in his hand, and he was my back portion. I used to stand and bend like this and put the face. He was behind me as back part of the bull. Then when we went for a photo there, and then Swami was looking at someone and saying, "Veedu tintadu, itanu digest chestadu." So everybody was like, that is what it means is, this fellow will eat and this fellow will digest it. So that's what Swami was telling. And we had a photo there. And the next photo. See, this is in school boys hostel, kitchen storeroom. What happened is, Swami came to our hostel, and then before Swami came to the hostel, some 20 minutes time was there. Swami will come in next 20 minutes. So what I did, I cleaned up everybody was busy with some work or the other. So I alone cleaned the storeroom nicely, filled all the tubs with channa, then dal, everything to look very neat, nice. Then all tiffin items on one side. Everything I arranged very nicely. I wanted Swami to see. And all the junk that I had collected, I opened the opposite room and dumped everything inside in a hurry. And then I bolted that room so that it need not be opened at all. And Swami came to the kitchen. Swami saw all the food items. And Swami was about to go to dining hall. And then I stood in front of Swami and asked, Swami, storeroom. Storeroom is there. I wanted him to see and appreciate me. Oh, very nicely you have kept storeroom. So, ekkada, he asked. Then I said, that side. Go, I'll come, he said. So, I went in front, Swami came behind. And then he saw all this. I thought Swami will say, very nicely you have kept. He just asked, I sent rice bags, no? Where are they? He asked. That was the room I had dumped all the chairs, some tables, everything I had piled up on the rice bags. I thought only rice sacks are there, so that room can be used as a junk room like that. That moment. So I had put everything in a hurry there. And next to that door, Sai sir was standing. I was signaling from behind because I am there behind folding my hand. I was signaling sir from behind, please don't open the door. The moment Swami asked for rice room, he said, Swami, here, like that he opened. And from top one chair fell down. Dadam, like that. Swami looked at me. Paraled, she told like that. I felt very safe. I thought I am going to get scolding for keeping that dirty. See, what we see as important and attraction is totally different from what Swami is wanting to see. If we are blessed to know that, that's really a great blessing in life. That's it, no? Photos. Here one amazing incident is there. In my final year MSc, every day during Dasara or some function time, we take drishti for Swami, and then coconut drishti we take, and one person will give flower, and I was asked to give coconut arati. So I was practicing it so many times, 3 counts, how to till down I have to go, or like that only you should rotate, all this. So they trained me, if you do like this it's enough. It was full tension for me. And Swami finished bhajans, arati started, Swami stood for some time and he came out. That's where we are supposed to do the arati. So I immediately rushed, and behind me my classmate, so the other 50% of the class. So he came with the rose, and then I swung once and it came till here for Swami. Then Swami moved like this. Hey, slow, he told that. Then second round I did. I was near Swami's face here. This boy who gave rose, he took namaskar and he was getting up. This coconut was coming full speed down. Swami pushed that boy. So he was getting up from Pada Namaskar and he fell back. And Swami said, enough. I said, one more, Swami. We got 2 only got over. So I wanted to finish the 3. So I said, Swami, one more is there. And then Swami himself was smiling. And then I took one more and then asked Swami, give prasadam. Swami went inside and brought prasadam and gave. That was my final year incident. This, when Swami came to hostel, this after the kitchen incident, all this, Swami was leaving. I took chilli and salt this time. And then the boy behind me is having the coconut. So I went with chilli and salt. And then I was about to do manchidi, coconut ledini dagara. So nobody would have understood maybe what Swami told. But I was surprised. Swami was remembering when in MSc I took coconut and made one galata there. So Swami was telling, manchidi, you tenkai teeskoledu, he told like that. So that is one very interesting incident that I had. So reliving whatever Swami has done, it's really amazing, and I think it's time I'll... So after I finished my MSc, I was asking Swami for, during when I was doing my MSc itself, I was asking Swami that I want to become a school teacher. But Swami was telling, Chustanu. Swami was telling like that. But my mind had set by then that I should somehow join school as a teacher. It was initially to become a scientist. Later on it became a cricketer. Later on it settled down with becoming a school teacher. That's what was the sequence. And during the holidays, I had gone to Kodaikanal also. Not taken by Swami, but with my father. Because I wanted to ask Swami there, I want to join school. But there was no opportunity. And myself and my father were walking. And then my father was telling, see, if Swami wants to make you something, he will do it just like that. Okay? You will suddenly become famous. You will suddenly join school. So don't give up hope. Yes, he'll make me hero suddenly like that. I was talking with my father very casually and coming. Suddenly there was siren behind, and Swami's one jeep was coming, and behind Swami's car was coming. So people assembled on either side of the road. And then Swami's car came, and it stopped in front of us. And Swami lowered the window, and he said, today Ishwaramba Day, come for lunch. When Swami told that, you won't believe, I became a hero all of a sudden. All the people after Swami left, they all surrounded me and started asking, what Swami told you, what Swami told you. Swami stopped the car and asked you. I said, Swami told me to come for food. So I will be going for lunch, I told like that. And then I went for lunch that afternoon. And after that Swami left for Vrindavan. I also came to Vrindavan. I was waiting, but I couldn't get an opportunity to tell Swami anything. But principal was telling me, I have told Swami that you are wanting to become a teacher, so Swami may tell. And finally a news was sent to all the boys who were staying back that nobody should stay. Old students, nobody should stay, everybody should leave. Swami doesn't want to see anybody in the evening. So we are all forced to leave Vrindavan. So I was feeling very bad. I said, maybe very sincerely I wanted to become a teacher here and be with you. You don't want me, what I can do? I felt very bad, and then I went back. Night ticket I booked to Madurai. Early morning I reached Madurai. From there, another 2 hours to my place. So I went to my uncle's house. And my uncle told me, a telegram has come from principal. That's the news we got from your house, that you are asked to join the school as a teacher on June 9th. Join as a teacher on June 9th. So I didn't go home also. That same evening, I came back to Bangalore and then came back to Parthi and joined as a teacher. So that's how I became a teacher in Swami's school. And there are another one incident. Time is there. What happened during sports meet? We do a lot of stunt items, and especially if stunt items are there, I usually take up that because I am a physics teacher. I don't know anything about stunt. Physics teacher, so you take care of stunts. And we were to perform a stunt where a boy would have a fire ring in his waist and he would rotate it around his waist. That was the stunt to be done. And I was the one to light that ring. So he was just a 10th class student, and this was going on. And to protect the boy from getting hurt with fire, we had a dress stitched with sack. Sanchi they call it, no? That sack. That will be soaked in water and he will wear it as a protection. So it will become like part of his dress. It is given like that. And it is soaked in water so that when he is rotating it around his waist, it should not touch him. Everything was ready. And this item came. I took matchstick and lit the ring. Ring is soaked in kerosene. See, every day when I just take it near, it will catch fire. That day it didn't catch fire. Then I immediately again took another matchstick and tried to light it up. It didn't catch fire. And that boy was getting irritated. Do it fast, you! Like, see, our primary school our boys' language is like that. What you do it fast, you! Was telling like that. And then I said, it's not catching fire. What to do? By then Swami got up and we got a message. Stop everything. Don't do anything. He was crying. You didn't light it, that's why. Otherwise I would have performed. I said, if it is not catching fire, what I can do? Kerosene is not catching fire, what I can do? No, I don't know. You didn't light it properly. Okay, fine. What to do? We didn't know why it was not catching fire. And then Swami got into car and went out. He was weeping. And I saw in his sack dress, colors are there. That rainbow colors are seen. I told him, hey, how colors are there? I told him, remove that shirt. So he removed it. I just threw it down and put one matchstick there. It caught fire. The dress which he was wearing, we had soaked it in water. But those days, kerosene did not have the blue color. Kerosene was white in color only. Somebody who brought kerosene for that stunt items there, they had poured kerosene into that bucket where his dress was soaked. And we didn't notice, because when the stunt item came, we immediately made him wear that. And the ring was not catching fire. After Swami left, I lit the ring very nicely, it was burning. I told him, see, now you tell me, it didn't catch fire because Swami wanted to save you. Otherwise, I would have been blamed. Sairam sir finished off this fellow. Swami saved you and me, both of us were saved. Otherwise, we would have been in trouble. So it was such a incident I can never forget. And one small things also Swami guides. That is the greatest thing in hostel, especially hostel life. We see that. One night around 2 o'clock I got a dream. Swami is standing and saying, go into that room and see. I got up. And then I was wondering what is there in that room to see. But I got up and went out. I went into that room. One boy is missing in the bed. He is not there. So first I got scared. Did he go off somewhere? But I heard kirk like that. Some sound was coming. I was wondering what is that sound? And I put on the tube light. And I noticed this fellow sitting inside the cupboard. Our schoolboy's cupboard, very small fellows can easily fit inside. He was sitting inside the cupboard and eating murku. 2 o'clock in the night. And he was shocked seeing me. I was shocked. What? 2 o'clock, what you are eating murku? Sir, my parents sent 1 week back, sir. I am not finding a time where I can eat it alone. So today I got up. In between, I felt this is the best time to eat. I said, why you could have given everybody and eaten? No. Then he was looking at me. No, my parents told keep it for a long time. I said, if you alone eat this much murku, what will happen to you? You distribute to everybody and eat. Afterwards, anytime you eat, nobody will mind. Why should you feel that only you have to eat? So, please, see, maybe Swami wanted this lesson to go into that boy's mind. Afterwards, for the next parents meet, when he brought something, he distributed it one shot to everybody and then came to my room and said, sir, I am feeling totally relieved, sir. No tension. It got over and I am happy. I also ate, everybody ate. Small lesson, but how Swami makes it a point to drive it home. And I was taking in charge of the kitchen part. One night around 11 o'clock, I was sitting on my chair and I felt asleep. When I slept, I got a dream. In the dream, usually what happens is, in the early morning around 4 or 4:30, whenever vada making is there, we have to grind that vada pindi for 350 boys. So unless we start the grinder by 4 o'clock, it won't be ready. 7 o'clock we have to make the tiffin. So usually I get up early morning and go. That day what happened was, I was sitting on the chair and sleeping. Next day was idli vada and sambar. So I was just thinking I should wake up early so that things can start in time. And I got a dream. The dream was that the kitchen worker who usually comes in the morning for that work, he is going into the kitchen and putting on the light, and the whole kitchen is exploding, and he is getting burnt in that fire. It didn't stop at that. After that, Swami is pointing a finger at me in the dream. Careless. I got up with a shock. I was thinking what a horrible dream it was. And then I wanted to sleep off again because I was very tired. But I am not able to sleep. It is giving me a kind of fear. So I thought whatever it is. I was living in the 3rd floor. I have to go all the way to the ground floor now to check. So I went to the kitchen. I opened the door and I was hearing a sound. Like that sound was coming. I knew somewhere gas was leaking. So I didn't put on any lights. And in the dining hall, just outside the kitchen, around 50 boys were sleeping. 12th class boys sleep in the dining hall. They were sleeping. And I was really getting scared. I don't know what is happening inside. How much gas has got released. So I started waking up one by one. Each one, and then get up, go back to your room like that. I still remember one boy got up. Already Suprabhat ma, he asked like because morning if you get up, you have to go for Suprabhat. So he was so worried that he had to go for already Suprabhat ma, he asked like that. Then I said, no, you have enough time to sleep, but go to your room and sleep. So some more boys helped me to wake up other boys. We sent everybody. Then I went behind the kitchen. You won't believe, 7 cylinders are connected in a row. And gas was leaking somewhere in the kitchen. So I went and closed the main wall and then opened all the windows, doors, everything. And after, when I felt there was no smell or something like that, then towards the end, I put on the storeroom light first. Then I came to this side and put on light. Then I noticed that a pipe had broken and the gas was going out from there. By morning, imagine the amount of gas that would have filled the room. 7 cylinders. So from that day onwards, we never connected more than 2 cylinders in the line. Because it's easy to connect all of them so that continuously gas keeps coming. We felt that it's better when you don't get gas, we'll connect another cylinder. But we will not put all the cylinders at one shot. So the care when we are asleep, there's a saying, sleep peacefully for God is awake. So it was Swami who was awake, and I had that feeling to go and check. If Swami can only warn us. If we don't react to that, then we cannot blame Swami, because, and indirectly only he tells. Swami never tells anything. If we are very happy if Swami can directly tell also. But God's nature is that, I think. Maybe God only knows. So these are some of the incidents as a student till teacher I had with Swami. And I am really grateful for Swami to have given me such experiences. And I make it a point to tell my students in class so that they also understand what God is. And to save devotees, God will go to any extent. Swami, I'll stop with this story. Swami told us one story in Mahabharata, just to say to what extent God will go to protect the devotees. It seems in the forest when Pandavas were there, you should hear it from Swami narrating it, because he was part of the scene there. So he knows what exactly happened. So he was telling us, they were in the forest, And every day each one would go around in different directions and collect some food materials so that they can cook. And Draupadi and Yudhishthira went in one direction. Bhima and Arjuna went in another direction. Nakula Sagadeva went in another direction. And Yudhishthira and Draupadi, they saw one fruit. It was a very big fruit. So Yudhishthira said, I think if we take this fruit, all of us can have enough of this itself. So let us take this fruit. So he hits it and that fruit falls on the ground. And then Yudhishthira goes to pick up that fruit. He is not able to lift it. Very heavy it is. Then Draupadi said, wait, I will come. Then both of them try to lift it. They are not able to lift. Meanwhile, Arjuna comes. What is this? No food. That's why you both have become so weak. Move, I will lift it. And Arjuna tries to lift. He is also not able to lift. All three of them try. By then Nakula Sagadeva comes. All of them are trying. They are not able to lift the fruit. Then Bhima comes and says, laughing at everyone, because every time half the food is given to me, only I can do it. So move, I will lift the fruit. And when Bhima tries to lift that fruit, suddenly something rose from the ground like this, like an arrow. Everywhere it started rising up. And immediately Draupadi understood, we made a big mistake. We did something very, very wrong. We should not have done this. And now we are all in trouble. And all of them are scared. What is going on, they don't know. And Draupadi, Krishna had promised, when you have difficulty, I will come. That is a promise that Krishna had given. Draupadi immediately prays to Krishna and says, oh Krishna, please save us. Krishna appears immediately there and says, what happened? As usual, you people have created some trouble. Then Draupadi says, we don't know what trouble we created, but we are not understanding what is happening. We cannot move further. It's locking us wherever we try to go. One arrow is rising up like that. Then Krishna says, you have disturbed the tapas fruit of Roma Rishi. There is a saint living in this forest in one place, and his hair is what is going around everywhere. And all his tapas, he has stored it in that tree. And you come and then simply take off his fruit. How will he allow you to take? Then Draupadi says, see, we didn't know. We thought our food it is. That's why we did. Then Krishna says, see, this time I cannot do anything, because one side demon and one side you are there. I can destroy the demon and save you. That fellow is my great devotee. I cannot harm him. And I don't know, you are also my devotee. I cannot help you, but. Then all of them are wondering. Then Draupadi says, there is nothing you cannot do. We surrender to you. You do something and save us. Then Krishna says, then you should not even open your mouth for whatever I do. Then all of them agree, because they have to be saved now. And Krishna was telling that Roma Rishi is coming towards the fruit with so much of anger. If he looks at you, you will all be burnt. So don't come now, till I go and meet him. After that you come. So these people are waiting for Krishna to meet that Roma Rishi. Roma Rishi is coming with a lot of anger, and Krishna goes in front and he says, hi Roma Rishi, how are you? Like that. And seeing Krishna's beautiful smile, he says, oh Krishna, so fortunate I am that I got your darshan today. Like that. And he for a moment forgets that he was going to find who has taken the fruit. And then Krishna keeps Roma Rishi entertained for some time. And meanwhile, these people get the signal to walk in. So all of them walk in. And then Krishna suddenly looks at them. Oh, you have come. And then makes one Shashtang Namaskar to all six of them. And Roma Rishi looks, my God, Krishna is doing Shashtang Namaskar. He also falls at their feet and then does Shashtang Namaskar. And then he gets up and asks Krishna, who are those such great people that you fell at their feet to take their blessings? Then Krishna told, they are the ones who took your fruit. So then Rama Rishi was telling it himself. See, God, to save his devotee, to what extent he goes, he falls at their feet so that they will be protected. So we had such a great God with us, and he is there with us all the time. So let us surrender to him and lead our life happily. Thank you, Sai Ram.
There was no chalk, there was no blackboard, there was no table for Sir to sit on. But I think all of us were moved back to what it was, the higher secondary school, 8th, 9th, 10th class, where the boys would just be enraptured by Sir's storytelling and Sir's experiences. If I were to wrap everything that Sir said, it would probably be just the word service. How Sir was handpicked, he was a gardener handpicked to tend to Swami's young flowers. And Swami has said, Nuvu seva cheste, nenu save chestanu. If you do seva, I will save you. And so many experiences that Sir narrated in the latter part of his talk highlighted that single instance, that single message of Bhagwan. After all, Bhagwan is searching for that one, probably one good thing in us, and that could probably be service. Ultimately, if we look at all the stories that Sir narrated, one message that I got from the story of Dr. Chai is when Swami asked him, what do you want? We all get that message sometimes, right? What do you want? Our answer should be, up to you. Thank you so much, Sir. And as a token of our love and gratitude to you for coming all the way from Prashanti Nilayam to share these wonderful experiences with us, I invite Sri Sudarshan Kamath Sir to please felicitate Sai Ram Sir. We will now have a bhajan by Swami, followed by Mangala Arati. Sai Ram.
दुख देत राम नाम। भव समुद्र सुखद नाम एक राम नाम। भव समुद्र सुखद नाम एक राम नाम। परम शांति सुख निदान दिय राम नाम। परम शांति सुख निदान दिय राम नाम। निराधार को आधार एक राम नाम। निराधार को आधार एक राम नाम। माता पिता बंधु सखा सब की राम नाम। माता पिता बंधु सखा सब की राम नाम। भक्त जन जीवन धन एक 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 राम नाम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम 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 श्री राम राम राम।
ॐ तत्सत् श्रीनारायण तो पुरुषोत्तम गुरुतो सिद्धबुद्ध तो स्कंद विनायक सविता पावक तो सविता पावक तो ब्रह्ममस्तु यह शक्ति तो विष्णु पिता प्रभु तू रुद्र विष्णु तू राम कृष्ण तू रहीमताओ तू रहीमताओ तू वासुदेव को विश्वरूप तू चिदानंद हरि तू अद्वितीय तू अकाल निर्भय आत्मलिंग शिव तू आत्मलिंग शिव तू आत्मलिंग शिव तू। असतो मा सद्गमया तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमया मृत्योर्मा शांति शांति शांति। ओम जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे। भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्ति महेश्वरा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते। आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका आपद्बांधवा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। माता पिता गुरुदैव मर्यन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मर्यन्तयु नीवे। नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्र शयना। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी वो साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा। मंगल आरती अंधुको मंगल आरती अंधुको मंदर गिरिधारी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण। ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा। नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण। ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा। नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण। जय सद्गुरुदेवा। शांति शांति शांति। समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय। परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूतिं परमार्थनिष्ठार्थमोक्ष प्रदातं बाबा विभूतिं हृदमाश्रयामि। परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूतिं परमार्थमिष्टार्थमोक्षप्रदानं बाबा विभूतिं इदमाश्रयामि परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूतिं परमार्थमिष्टार्थमोक्षप्रदानं बाबा विभूतिं इदमाश्रयामि बाबा विभूतिं इदमाश्रयामि